All right. Yo, hey, what's going on, y'all? My name is Desmond, owner of Dlores Media Group, and I'm excited because guess why? We're starting a YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right. So I finally decided we're going to do a YouTube channel, and in this YouTube channel, the goal is really just introduce you to myself, introduce you a little bit into my life, what I do, how I do business, why I do business, the history, story behind it. But then also just talk to you about how to do business better. I can tell you that I've had some good times, some rough times. I've had some, man, you're crushing it. And then I've also had those times that it's like, man, you need to figure out what's next. So we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. Also, the goal is to really just help pour into the next gen, the next group of photographers and videographers that's behind me. Those that are just buying a camera today, those that are like, hey, I'm thinking about doing it, where do I start? That's what this YouTube channel is going to be for. It's to really help you understand the basics of what you're doing with your camera, as well as also how to navigate and do business right. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about myself first today. So originally from Philadelphia, I'll be honest, it's not actually Philly where I grew up. I did have spent a lot of time there, but I claim Philly as my home simply because if I explain to you that I grew up in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania, you're gonna be like, where's Chester Springs? It's near Westchester, all of that stuff. So we're not gonna go into that. But what we will go into is that I bleed green. Yes, I am a Philly native. However, I live in Dallas. Right. What a reverse. So living in Dallas, of course, is great. I love it. It's amazing. I have a beautiful family. I have a wife. I have 2 kids, all of that good jazz. You may see from time to time a kid or two come through because we're going to be raw and uncut on a lot of this stuff because extra energy and editing fake stuff just isn't me. You're going to see that I like to keep it fairly real, keep it fairly simple. We're going to talk about the gear that I use. So I will tell you, I chose photography, or photography chose me, with Canon. Yes, I am a Canon user. And actually, my very first camera is right here. Yeah, so this was one of my very first cameras. I won this camera in a Microsoft competition. It was for the Urban League, and we were in the competition. We had to create a business, surprisingly enough. And it was right when I moved to Dallas, and when we went into the final round, we ended up winning the round in Dallas, where we were flown to Atlanta, right? Yes, we got flown out, right? And our team then took second place with the pitch competition between another company that was created, and we won an Xbox and a camera. And so I started taking a lot of pictures really around my church, as well as also different portraits. And my grandmother was like, baby, you need to make that a business. And I said, I know how to build one, so I might as well. And so doing so, I went into business, and the business itself was named after my grandmother. Now, the story of me naming the business after my grandmother is real simple. It was simply because one, she embodied one of my best friends. She embodied being one of my strongest foundations. Granted, my mother is also one of my solid foundations, God, as well as also my family. But my grandmother really, she poured a lot into who I am today. And one of the hardest parts for me was seeing her lose her vision going into the latter years of her life. And so as her vision began to get worse, I started to ask more questions, started to try to figure things out. And one of the things that she used to be able to do so well was describe how things used to look and what she envisioned or what they look like today. Now, granted, my grandmother, she saw silhouettes. She really, she still could see some things and notice some things, but if it was dark or if it was a very dim room, she was seeing a silhouette, or she wasn't seeing it very clearly. And so, one day I remember she was just talking to me about the birds and the trees and understanding it was spring, and she was vividly describing to me what those things look like. And as she described those things, it helped for me to say, this makes sense. That's what I want my business to be remembered by. I want people to vividly be able to relive, be able to vividly understand, vividly see why and what they did, whether that is a wedding, whether that is a conference, whether that is a documentary, whether that is just a storytelling, whatever it is, that was my goal. And so that's how we became Dlores Media Group. And I'll be honest, originally it was just Dlores Photography. But I had some buddies of mine who were my mentors that said, have you thought about doing video? And so we'll get into that another day because I want to keep this one short, but I will say that my business was fully built and branded around Dolores Hunt, who of course has helped give and pave the way to where we are today. Outside of that, what can you expect from this channel? Community. I believe heavily in community. I believe that without community, you're much of nothing. I believe that as a business, you need to have community. I believe that as a business, it requires you to grow with others so that you can be not just successful for yourself, but you can make an impact around you. So that's what we're really aiming for. We're going to talk about gear. Yes. So we'll talk about cameras. We'll talk about flashes. We'll talk about microphones. We'll talk about some of the newest tech. Why? Because I am a nerd. But we're also going to talk about, better business habits, because that is the one thing that we see definitely in this industry is photographers, videographers not really knowing what to do. I will tell you that I do from time to time consult for other people, whether it is a travel agency, whether you are a makeup artist, whether you are wanting to just build some type of other business. And I'll be honest, all of the principles are the same. Having a strong foundation, understanding what your financials are going to look like, recognizing what your who your target audience is. None of that changes. So we will definitely talk through that as well. And then outside of that, we're going to just really talk about the questions that you may have. So whatever questions you have, leave them in the comments. I will just say this. I'm not an expert. I do not claim to be an expert, but I will tell you and give you everything that I know. I believe that is necessary to say here on YouTube today, because I know we have trolls out there that may say, oh, that's not right. It's okay. It may not be right to you, but it works for me. And so we're going to talk about what works for me, what has worked for me. I won't go into numbers today, but I can tell you that I've been profitable over a lot of years. And so with being profitable, that means that something clearly worked. And so my goal is to really help you be profitable. My goal is to really help you get to work and really understand why you have to work and push for that. With all of that, last couple of questions that I will go through. So favorite color is green and red, actually. My favorite shoe is Nike Air Jordan 1s. I love Jordan 1s. I have quite a bit of them. Favorite destination to travel. Anything Caribbean. I'll be honest, I love the Caribbean. It is super comfortable, super warm, super chill, laid back. My best friend, my wife, yes, I'm gonna put it out there. She is one of my best friends. I do have some guy best friends, but my wife, she is my support system. She fusses at me, she pushes me, she makes me mad, she loves on me, all of those things. But I do love Brittany. She keeps us going. I may bring her on one day so she can talk about the perspective of being a supportive spouse. Who knows? We'll talk about it. That could be an episode. Then on top of that, kids. So which one's my favorite child? So my son is my favorite son and my daughter is my favorite daughter. They keep us going. And favorite car. So my dream car is a Porsche. Porsche 911. That's my dream car. I drive a Tesla today. I don't know if I'm getting closer, but I do love fast speed within vehicles. So that's something that I enjoy. So who knows? We'll see. Maybe as we get a little bit older, we may grab a Porsche, but we'll see. But first, these children need to graduate and go to college or go do something great and make an impact in this world. So we're getting to that. And then last question is favorite camera company. I will say that today my favorite camera company is still Canon, but I'm not sold. I will say that I'm always open for change. So who knows? Sony, they may see me one day. I've had a Sony before. I'll be honest, I actually own a few cameras. I own Canon cameras, I own Sony cameras, I own Fuji cameras. So like I said, I'm a gearhead, but each camera has its own skill and it has its own purpose for why I use it. So with that being said, let's get to work. And make sure you like and subscribe down below. And thank you for joining the community. Peace.